No, I'm good. We're live.
News channel after news channel after news channel. Ever wonder why they report the same news? This is Wake Up America.
Brought to you by Citizen Stringer.
The media has become absolute lunacy. What makes us different? We just tell the truth. Daily headlines, politics, social issues, focusing on headlines that the mainstream media ignores. Conservative to the core and honest, sometimes to a fault. Unapologetically American. Welcome to Wake Up America with your host, Stephen Oatley.
And Adam Jungers. I added it. What's going on, Adam and everybody out there?
What's up, everybody?
Not much. How about that intro? That was really pizzazzy.
That was good.
Pizzazzy. All right, for anyone that doesn't know, I've kind of been talking about this last week. From going forward, Adam is going to try to be here every day to co-host this show with me as we get things. My personal life is a mess right now, and I'll talk about that in a minute, and my poor kitchen table. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but this is just in an effort to make a better show. This show is sponsored by Spartan Armors, like it always is. Spartan Armor Systems is a armament manufacturer out of, where are they? Tucson, Arizona, right? I believe. Tucson, Arizona. Great company, great sponsors of this show. They make some incredible body armor. It's actually on the other table. I didn't feel like turning on the lights and doing everything, and I didn't have all the buttons set up because now we're doing a two-person show. So there, look, Adam's got it right there. Spartan Armor Systems.
There you go.
That's their tactical plate carrier set. So it's got front plates, and I think it has side plate holders, but I don't think you have them in there.
No, I don't have the side plates in there.
Yeah, that's a great set. Spartan, when Adam and Lauren and April went down to the border, Spartan provided us with some body armor for them, so which is great. And huge supporters of the show. And if you go over to their website and use code YEET, that's YEET, you get 10% off your order. So that's a huge sale. Huge. So I'm going to play a video to start off with. Adam may be surprised. Now, I've kind of censored this because we're going to try something new with this new type of show. It's a new year, 2022. We'll see if we can get through an entire episode without cursing. Probably not. But we're gonna try. So you may have seen this video.
I'm gonna do my best.
If you want to see if you want to see the uncensored version of this show of this video, you can find it on my Twitter page at Steve Oatley on Twitter. But here is a little video that, granted, my blood when I watched this video was already boiling, but I think it boiled even more when I watched this video. So this is about a minute and a half, just about a minute. So check it out.
Sure, get out. Right now. Fucking putting everybody else at risk. Get the f away from me! You have no mask on and you're in a store where you're not supposed to be without one.
That's none of your business.
It is my business!
No, it's not.
F off, you stupid
By the way, what's your name? Because you told me to get out from here. So I'm going to call the manager and I'm going to tell them that
Great, you call the manager, but in the meantime, get 6 feet away from me, you stupid
talking to you.
Get away from me now! No mask, get out!
No, maman. Non, il est violent. Approche-toi pas de lui.
You're a
Non,
Don't serve them. Get out of my way! No mask on you.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. That was some editing work right there. You did a good job editing that.
Yeah, I did, right? I'm getting used to this editing stuff, but I watched that video and I was this close to offering a cash reward for where that guy lives. I'll be honest, because if the left can do it, why can't we? I'm so tired. I mean, for the past couple of days, I've been talking about it. My New Year's resolution should have been that I'm going to just say I'm tired of everything all the time, because that's what I've been doing. I've been saying quite a bit. Last night's video. Now, oh God. Why can't that happen while I'm there? Like, why can't I be that guy walking into the store as a double masker is telling, yelling at a woman and cursing at her? Why can't that happen when I'm there? That's the thing I don't understand.
Oh, they would never do that when you're there. No one would ever do that in your presence. I mean,
no one. Yeah, but here's the thing.
I feel like when you go ahead.
Go. No, let's go.
Well, I just feel like if you were to be there, when someone else walks in, that guy was a weak dude. He was a beta male, right? He was only picking on her because there was nobody else was around. You put you in that room or someone like me in that room, he's not going to do that. And he's going to sense that right away.
I don't know, but people are so brainwashed with this whole thing now. Who actually knows what people are or aren't going to do? You know what I mean? People are nutty, but I don't, like people say, we need you here, not in jail. I wish sometimes that kind of thing could just happen in front of me. I have anger issues currently. My anger level is about 200 right now in general, and I don't understand why why it can't happen to me. It's the only thing I'm saying. That's what I'm the most mad at in this instance,
Well, do you remember just last week when CNN had the doctor from George Washington University on the show on CNN, and she's actually a CNN medical analyst, right?
Yeah.
A regular contributor there. And she goes on and says, hey, the cloth masks, they don't work, especially with Delta, especially with Omicron. They don't work at all.
Right.
And this is on CNN. So I don't. Who is still believing that wearing a mask helps?
I don't know, but yeah.
Sorry, I know we can't even talk about. I don't know. So you know what? Oh God.
I don't know. I see
Sorry.
everyone commenting on social media right now about villain reports. I guess we got to talk about that real quick. It's unconfirmed. There's one person has said that a villain report was found deceased today in a hotel in Alaska. One person posted that on social media. We tend not to report things unless we can verify it multiple times. This is unverified, and I see so many people typing that in the chat that I would encourage you to not type that in the chat until we actually get some confirmation if it's true, because otherwise you're doing because if it's not true, it's a horrible thing. So I would appreciate you guys not typing that in the chat, because nobody actually knows whether it's true or not. We don't know anything about it except one person on Twitter is claiming that he talked to someone. And I hope it's not true. But because, we've interviewed Villain twice on this show. I've spoken to him hours and hours and hours on the phone. We've paid him to cover different events and things like that. So, just respect. Let's actually find out if something's true before we talk about stuff like that, please, in the chat. Anywho, this is why I hate having chats. I wish I'd never even opened it. But so
I just hope it's not true.
Yeah, me too. So here's something, because Adam has been MIA for a while, and people are always kind of curious as to where he's been and what he's doing. You guys have seen my videos. I've made a couple of videos. Adam hasn't made a video in about 15 years. So I figure Adam can give us let's get his 2-minute take on where we are as a country right now. You have 2 minutes, Adam. Go.
Okay, so here's a few things that we have going on right now. The country is more divided than we've ever seen. In 2022, we're heading into midterms where we should have a party that's united. Instead, our party is actually searching for different things to try and unite on. We have people uniting over the way we should be handling COVID. We have people uniting over the way that we should be handling elections. We have people uniting over what we should and shouldn't be passing through Congress right now. What we need to do is get everybody back on the same page. We're never going to get through these 2022 midterms alive if we don't do that. Sorry for the noise there. But that's what we're facing. We're facing a standstill, and we have to be able to cut into this and actually, spread our wings out. We might be able to stop the Democrats right now, the pan-Democrats in 2022, and get a lame duck out of Biden. But that doesn't fix our country. We have much bigger issues than that. I've been down to the border. I've seen what's going on there. This is more than a crisis. This is a pandemic at the border, or a real crisis down there. There's a lot of things happening in our country that people just frankly don't want to address. It's a lot easier to pretend like they're not going on.
Yeah.
That's my...
Yeah, whoops. Whoa, where'd your audio go? That's weird. My bad, I pressed the wrong button. But here's the funny thing, and this is where I am in this whole thing. I don't think America's unified. I don't think people are unified about what happened with the elections. I don't think people are unified in what it is to be a conservative, and I don't think people are unified at virtually anything. I think people are divisive and mean and full of shit. Yeah, I swore, but like,
well, you hit it right on the head right there when you said. When you hit it right on the head when you said people aren't united about what it is to be a conservative. You're right, because we have this new age of conservatives now. We have this whole base of voters that we frankly didn't have before in the Republican Party. These are the people that voted for Donald Trump because he's Donald Trump. It has nothing to do with his Republican Party affiliation. And that's kind of what we're seeing, is some of that bleed through here in a new age of conservative Republicans. And these rhinos that are out there running right now in the 2022 midterms, they're going to face their day with Donald Trump as he goes around the country in primaries, literally against every single one of them. You've seen the emails from his media team. How many candidates has he gone through and just endorsed one after the other after the other? That's what we're looking for here, is a clean sweep of these midterms. But you have to look at it from a bigger picture. We have to get the people that are saying they're conservatives on the same value team, right? Like we all need to kind of start thinking, and I hate to say take away some of the individualism because that's not what I mean, but to assimilate some of the things that we want to get done. You know, we got to get those thoughts together and get the candidates that we're going to put up there to actually run on that.
Yeah.
You know.
I almost said that for a while too. I'm very frustrated with just everything in general. I'm frustrated by and I talked about this last night a little bit. I'm frustrated by so-called conservatives sitting here arguing with people back and forth all the time and being like, well, this person said this, so they're not true. Or there's this whole like what it takes to be a man in these different groups out here. And again, it has to do with the Jack Murphy bullcrap because it never stops. But all these people, like people actually pay money to have other men tell them how to be men. People pay money to have other conservatives tell them how to be conservatives. When in all reality, it's kind of common sense. I don't know. See, that didn't even make any sense, and I know it didn't. That's just a level of frustration I have right now. None of it makes any sense whatsoever.
It's just all about getting back to common sense, though, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what we need to be doing. It's common sense.
Yeah.
Like you can't give trillions of dollars away when you're that much in debt and expect the value of the dollar to stay the same. It doesn't work. The science, right? It's all about the science. Well, it's all about the math, and inflation is real.
Yeah, it's crazy. Just another housekeeping thing real quick because I see the chat on Citizen Stringer TV. If you guys are having issues with the live streaming, click on the little wrench thing, the settings, and change your quality to auto, and that should fix it. I don't know why some of you are glitching out, but I've been watching as you guys are all saying it's glitching, and it's not glitching on my end, and I have it set to auto, so why don't you give that a shot? Yeah, I really don't know. I mean, I think this country and everything we love and hold dear and everything we value is completely fractured, and everyone is destined to fall into a gutless whole pit of insincerity and criticize everybody all the time for everything. I don't know. You know, it's frustrating. It's frustrating to me. And let me be honest. Okay, I know what a lot of it is. I had a bad day today, and I guess maybe I need to explain that so people can understand my frustration in general. And I guess if for people that haven't watched because it's been Christmas, you don't know, everything with our company is going great. You know, everything with, you know, our relationships and all that and our growth and everything's great. My personal life in terms of my house has like it exploded, and then like we rebuilt it and it exploded again, and then like as we were rebuilding it again, it exploded again, and then like a tornado came and ripped through it, and then a hurricane, and then lightning, and then a Bigfoot guy came and stomped on my patio, and like our house is such a mess. Our septic system backed up on the 23rd. They came out and temporarily fixed it, and we rent this house, mind you. They came out and temporarily fixed it. Then the very next day, our furnace died, Christmas Eve. They got someone to come out and look at it. He said it's dead. There's nothing he can do about it. They got to replace it. We decided that we were going to go to Florida to avoid the cold, so we jumped in the RV, drove all the way down to Florida. On Tuesday, they replaced the furnace. We arrived back on last Friday, and our house utterly and completely was covered with soot. Everywhere, all of our items, everything is gone and ruined, right? So, we did what we did. My wife cried a little bit when she tried to clean it up, which pissed me off, and I yelled at the landlord and everything. Oh, you know what? It did just freeze. I was watching it on Citizen Stringer, Adam. You may want to figure out why that's doing that. But anyway, the whole thing is it's really perplexing because apparently the furnace guy messed everything up. The furnace guy messed everything up. Soot got throughout our house and ruined all of our stuff. And then we were waiting for an insurance adjuster who still has yet to come or contact us to clean. So today, just because we knew it was going to be below 20 tonight, we couldn't. Last night, it dropped down below 40, and we were in the RV, and it got too cold. It was miserable. And even with heaters and all that stuff going, the RVs are not built to be in freezing temperatures like that. all the time. So we decided that we were going to attempt to try to clean the house today. I called the landlord earlier this morning, and I'm not saying her name or anything, and she may be watching this show, and you're a horrible landlord if you are watching the show, and I detest you, and I'm going to sue the shit out of you when all this is done. But anyway, while I was talking to her today, I called her because I told her I was going to be cleaning this house myself and charging them. There's nothing else we could do. We can't wait anymore. We have children. So we were going to attempt to clean up this soot. We had a new shop vac that was new in the box. It had the HEPA filter and everything. So we decided to go and try to do our best to clean it. We vacuumed, just so everyone understands, and I know you guys may be like, this isn't news, but this is why I have this like utter frustration with the world right now. So I think it's I have to explain it so people understand. We first attempted to vacuum using the filter. Didn't work, right? Well, it got some of it up, but it didn't really work. And then we used this like grease be gone stuff that the furnace guy recommended that was expensive, and wiped it down. That got some of the soot up. Then we used Windex, and this is all on one section of counter that's probably 2 foot by 2 foot. And then we used Windex and used a clean rag to try to get up the rest. And then and then we took a white hand cloth and wiped it down to see if there was still soot, and guess what? There was soot. So no matter what we were going to do, we realized we're not going to be able to clean this house, so it's safe. And mind you, while we were in the house, maybe for 20 minutes, both my wife and I started getting a really bad taste in our mouth, so therefore soot was floating around, and it wasn't going anywhere. Then my landlord called me.
It was definitely in the air.
Yeah. Then my landlord called me today, all right, and I do pretty good, conducting myself as a professional, and I think I may be wrong, but I think I have a right to be angry with this whole scenario. So, I explained to the landlord that we pay a premium for this house because they took advantage of us and we had no other options because the rental market was effectively nil when we found it. And that we've never been late. I've purchased my own appliances for the house because theirs kept dying and they kept bringing old junky ones. Like, we're good tenants. We're like the ideal tenants. And that it was her responsibility to do whatever we need to make it so we can occupy the house that we need. And I said it very quick and very, when I get elevated and her response was to ask me if I was done. If I was done with ranting and raving, apparently. So I'll be honest, I asked her for clarification. Was she truthfully asking me if I was done? To which she said yes, so I promptly hung up on her and proceeded to completely demolish my dining room set. So, and I did. I ruined my dining room set. But you know what? And it didn't make me feel better. Like back in the day, like when I was a super aggressive guy, that's what I did. I'd punch holes in the walls. I'd smash shit. I'd punch people in the face. That is how I got rid of frustration. And maybe now as an older guy, maybe I was just at that point where I expected that it was going to make me feel better, and it didn't, because then I realized I destroyed something. But then the realization set in that I didn't even destroy that dining room set. Yes, I helped it towards its decay and demise, but that dining room set was covered in soot, so it was garbage anyway, and there's nothing I could do with it. So long story short,
it was already heading to the dump.
It was already heading to the dump with the rest of my property because everything is ruined, and I scared my wife. and there's nothing good that came out of it, and I had to throw in the towel. And we called the hotels to try to see if they would allow dogs. The hotels in our town, which there aren't many, it's a small town, said no, we're not allowed to have big dogs. And so we ended up having to spend an entirely large sum of money on an Airbnb. But you know what? My wife, my kids, and my dogs right now are sitting in an Airbnb. They're happy. It's a house on a farm. They're warm. They're fed. And I'm going to sue the shit out of every single person. The landlord, the maintenance guy that was fixing the furnace and screwed it up. I have no other choice. What do I do? So that and everything else, like I can't even stand looking on social media or anything like that and paying attention to what people are doing. Everyone complains. Like, remember last night I talked about, I don't know, Adam, if you watched my show last night, now we're getting back to the news. I talked about AOC and how everyone is freaking out about AOC down in Florida. And no, she wasn't wearing a mask. And oh, her boyfriend has big feet and all this shit. Like, that's relevant. Like, I give two shits as a conservative that's concerned about our country. I should care that AOC is being hypocritical and going down to Florida and enjoying the freedoms that we all are advocating for. Yes, I understand the argument that she's being hypocritical, but to run segment after segment after segment on Fox News, I said last night that we will see it on Fox News today. Guess what? Fox News ran it over and over. I'm sure Tucker Carlson about 10 minutes ago let off with it and about how everyone's hypocrites. Here's my question. At what time do people start actually thinking about our country? You know, Adam, at what time do people start thinking about our country? Instead of the semantics and going back and forth, like when do people start saying, you know what, let's stop bickering back and forth and actually care?
We're past that. We're past that. We're past
It's
that
too
time
late,
when,
he
when
says.
people
Great
will,
answer,
yeah,
Adam. Thanks for
it's
reassuring me.
Yeah. When was the last time you watched like regular cable morning television?
Every day. Every day.
I mean, turn on The View for 5 minutes.
Oh,
and
that's
imagine,
not regular. That's yeah. I get what you're saying.
But
I don't watch The
imagine
View.
the millions of people that watch that show, right? and that just watch it for 5 minutes and think. There are several million people that are walking around believing everything that these women just told them. Think about that.
Yeah.
I mean, that just sums it up for you. You have the general population of America walking around believing every single thing that they read, every single thing that they hear, which is why I think it's so great that we encourage our viewers to go, don't believe us. Go out and do the research yourself. Go find out for yourself.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of what people were saying on the whole Joe Rogan thing with this mind control thing and why it was all banned. You know, Pizza and Tilly, before we came on the air, Pizza and Tilly was playing a video and I was listening to that, and it's eerie. I mean, to me, that's still an out there theory, but I don't know, man.
People need to remember too that Joe Rogan wasn't. Joe Rogan's not ever been a politically outspoken individual.
Yeah,
ever,
yeah.
Right? I mean, very apolitical in terms of what he does professionally. And in the last year, this is what the Democrats have turned a dude who was pretty much fair and cool with everybody into being a complete truth finder, truth seeker, and now exposing the left for exactly what they are. I mean, look at what they did to Joe Rogan. I mean, look at who he had on his show last week, the doctor, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw that episode. Very interesting
episode. I didn't. I watched a clip, like a minute, you know, whatever was on Twitter. I saw it, and I thought it was pretty. I mean, here's the thing. Any conspiracy theory that goes along with any of these COVID things, because personally, I don't understand the freak out anymore. I really don't. I don't understand the hubbub. I don't understand why they're pushing this as hard as they are and pushing the vax and all this stuff. And you have doctors now that are talking about Omicron and how that's like a blessing because it's like herd immunity and all this stuff. And that's about as far as we're going in that conversation. But
yeah, we can't go any further.
Nobody else listens to it. So we're all sit here and we're like what is real? You know, and that's what they were talking about in that show. That is the purpose. The purpose is to confuse so many people and give different variations, so that way the country is sitting there going, anyone who doesn't feel the same way, you're going to turn and freak out because a lady isn't wearing a mask in a store. And everyone that doesn't follow your exact way of thinking and what exactly you believe, that person is less than and needs to be eradicated. Because I know it's a crazy thing to say, but I don't think we're that far. I mean, look what China's doing. They're taking thousands of people by bus and shipping them off to God knows where. Countries are locking down.
Australia is doing the same thing.
Well, did you see what happened in Amsterdam this weekend? With
No.
the COVID, people were protesting the COVID restrictions. That they sicked dogs on them. The police sicked dogs on protesters, like over vaccine mandates and over COVID restrictions. Like, they're not out there. The police aren't sicking dogs on people for burning down their communities and shit. No, for going out and protesting and saying we have a right to choose what goes in our body, and they're attacking with attack dogs and beating them with batons. Crazily. Like, when do we get to that point here in America? Is the part that I don't even want to know the answer. I really don't, because I don't want to think that it could even go that far, that we could ever even get that. But every single day something else comes out. Look at spend a couple of minutes on a conservative, like a big verified conservative's Twitter page, and read the comments. Because there's so many, especially if it's about COVID, so many people are going nuts. Guys, please stop writing stuff about villain in the chat. It's unconfirmed as of right now. So stop writing it in the chat, or I'm shutting all the chats off, because we don't spread misinformation here, and we don't know if it's true. So please stop sharing it in the chat. But where was I going?
I mean, we don't know what's true anymore. You don't know what's true. We have no idea. That's the scary thing, bro. What do we believe anymore? How far away are we from that? That's the real question you want to know. I don't know, but we're getting a good taste of it every single day, right? I don't think that the real I don't know, freedom fighters that we have in this country that are elected officials would ever let that happen.
All right. Well, just so everyone knows, in about 28 minutes, we're going to do a half an hour on Citizen Stringer. And I have a lot to talk about with COVID today, especially with the FDA approving booster shots for kids 5 to 12 years old, or 12 to whatever. We're going to talk about that, and we can't do it now. But I am going to rant a little bit about that, because none of it makes any fucking sense. Damn it, I swore again. But none of it does. Nothing does. Like this, everything that is happening right now doesn't make any sense. You have Schumer saying that, oh yeah, if the Republicans don't pass voting bills and all that stuff, that we're just going to change the rules to pass the bills. All this stuff is crazy. Let's talk about another crazy story. This is a story I emailed to you. And this doesn't make a lot of sense. I sent this over to you, and I seen a couple of people in the chat have mentioned this already. Now, and you guys all know how I feel about J6 and the events that led up to that day, and the fact that anyone who broke into that building and entered through a window or fought their way past police committed a crime and needs to be held accountable for that crime. Everyone else was just there protesting. There's nothing different between the violence that I saw that day and any other day last year. But with that said, something interesting is happening. National Files just put out an article, and I don't know how much credibility goes into this right now or anything, but Stuart Rhodes, Ray Epps, and John Sullivan have allegedly been subpoenaed to testify at the Oath Keeper, Kelly Meggs, an Oath Keeper accused of conspiring to storm the Capitol. That's kind of crazy. Stuart Rhodes, he's like the leader of the Oath Keepers, and he has not been charged in January 6th. I don't know if he was there, but there's a lot of people. I know what's the one that Santilli's had on a couple of times, and Gateway Pundit references them a lot. I don't remember.
I don't know his name.
Yeah, but that journalist who's gone deep into these guys, they went deep into Ray Epps after we talked about Ray Epps. They went deep into John Sullivan months after we talked about John Sullivan. And Stuart Rhodes, we've never really talked about, because frankly, I don't know enough, nor do I even care, because if we keep pumping articles about J6 and about all this same stuff, it just fits the narrative that everybody else does. It's bullshit. It's all bullshit. But apparently, according to the National File, Stuart Rhodes, Ray Epps, and John Sullivan have all been subpoenaed to testify at Meg's trial, and a moved defense attorney, John Mosley, told National File believes that will prove his client's innocence and will prove the entire prosecution to be politically motivated. It's kind of interesting. Now, Rhodes' presence in Washington, D.C. has been the subject of much skepticism. Oh, here it is. Darren Beatty's Revolver News. That's the guy I was talking about. Published a series of investigative reports suggesting he may be working with the federal government, which is, I would say, pretty damn clear, or intelligence agencies in some capacity. While many of the Oath Keepers who Rhodes led to Washington, D.C. that day were arrested, some, like Meg's, have been held without bail for nearly a year. Rhodes, however, had not been charged. He was voluntarily interviewed by the FBI and has not been arrested, and the government does not appear to suspect him of committing any crimes on January 6th, which is crazy because they're charging several Oath Keepers who he was with or led or whatever, that day, with conspiracy to do all the stuff that happened. Now, Ray Epps, you guys probably know who he is. He's the guy that was saying the night before they stormed the Capitol that they should storm the Capitol, and everyone kept identifying him as a Fed. He's an Arizona-based member of the Oath Keepers from previous, he was an Oath Keeper chapter president for Arizona. We reported on all this a long time ago, months and months ago. We always thought it was weird, right? And I remember tweeting it out, his photo, and I said, who is this guy? I want to know who this guy is that's cheering on everybody. We look into him more. It turns out he trained at some, FBI hostage negotiation thing in Quantico, this whole thing. And then, obviously, we know who John Sullivan is. He's an Antifa scumbag that was released without bail, even though he's facing 7 or 8 now federal charges. He's the one that captured the murder footage of Ashley Babbitt, the unarmed person who was climbing through a window being shot and murdered by a police officer there who was not facing any charges. John Sullivan sold that footage to CNN, sold it to ABC and Disney and all these other people, and made tens of thousands of dollars. Now the federal government has seized that money, and he's not getting it back based on the latest court documents I saw from November, I believe it was. But he's been formally indicted by a federal grand jury. But it's interesting because now they're saying they're going to what's that look, dude?
I can't wrap my head around this.
It really doesn't make any sense, right?
So hold on. Let's back up really quick, right? Ray Epps. This is a dude that should have been charged. I mean, have you seen any of the videos? I know you have. These videos, he is standing there and he is telling people, guys, we have to go in. I mean, we have to go. It'd be stupid for us not to go in, right?
Well, and
we have to go in.
Here's the thing. We've also seen video from him with the initial push through the initial guard, at the Capitol. Ray Epps is sitting there whispering in a guy's ear as they go in charge. That guy has been arrested.
Dude. You and I remember looking at Ray Epps on camera that morning, and going what's up with this dude, right? But here's the deal. So he's not indicted at all. He's not charged at all. But now he's going to come in and he's going to save the day, right? He's been subpoenaed to save the day here. I'm just
he's been when I first read the article, I thought they were subpoenaed to testify in front of the January 6th unselect committee or whatever.
The commission, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I originally thought, but that's not what it is. They've been subpoenaed apparently to testify in the trial of Kelly Meggs, which is very interesting. I don't even know, the prosecution's certainly not going to allow John Sullivan to do it, and John Sullivan's attorney would be stupid to do it as well. But here's the thing,
John Sullivan's impeachable as a witness. I mean, he has zero credibility.
Right, so and he's facing a ton of charges himself. But here's the interesting
how he could witness anything.
Right. Here's the interesting thing about John Sullivan, though, because he has numerous times after, I think even on my show, because for anyone that doesn't know, I interviewed John Sullivan after the Capitol riots. I interviewed him on the show, and he's a terrorist scumbag, and I told him as much. I don't really like interviewing people on the show because I'm not that nice, and that's why I don't do it that much. But John Sullivan was one of the very few people that came on the show, and I surprised him with his brother on the show, and he didn't like that very much at all either. And it's a good interview. I think you could find it on YouTube still. It's a pretty good one. But his attorney would be stupid to allow him to speak. But, that's what I was going on. He was talking about, either in my interview or other interviews, that the reason he found out that they were storming the Capitol was from Telegram chat rooms. That's what he said. And I know in these in a lot of these charging documents for some of these oath keepers that are being charged with conspiracy, part of the elements there that they're charging with is that they used encrypted, methods like Telegram and other encrypted chat rooms to communicate and to plan this in advance. But didn't you read the article? Gateway Pundit put out something and they clipped a huge article of the way Gateway Pundit does, where they actually like write a sentence and say, hey, this whole story, breaking news, blah, blah, blah. And they write a sentence and then link an entire article from a different outlet there, kind of claiming credit, but it is what it is. They do what they do. But apparently Newsweek is reporting on January 3rd, the heads of a half dozen elite, this January 3rd of last year, the heads of half dozen elite government special operations teams met in Quantico, Virginia to go over potential threats, contingencies, and plans for the upcoming joint session of Congress. So 3 days before January 6th, when special operations teams, even though everyone says that they didn't know this was happening, that there was no, foregone knowledge. All the Democrats, the people that are actually in charge of the security of the Capitol, Nancy Pelosi and all them, are saying that they didn't know. And then when the people that do testify, like the Capitol Police chief, who says that, guess what? No, we requested 7 times for National Guard and they never did it. But it turns out now there were special operations teams that were at the Capitol that did nothing. Now, they weren't protecting the police or anything like that. They weren't fighting off rioters. They were intermingled with all the protesters, according to Newsweek. Very odd. And then they're saying that there could have been U.S. military special forces on the ground there as well. That's what Newsweek is reporting, not the Gateway Pundit or somebody else. You can't really confuse Newsweek with someone else like that, which is very odd to me. It's very odd.
This is just so strange. I mean, the whole J6 thing, and watch the next 4 days. I don't even know how far away we are from it. 3 days. Every headline that you see, every time you turn on Fox News or NBC or whatever, and just watch CNN and MSNBC for the next, flip it on a couple times over the next 72 hours. Try not to fry your brain. But I guarantee you, every time you look at it, the headline is going to be J6, J6, J6. This is what the left has. They're going to keep holding on to this. And if you think it's not going to come up in 2022, when every time they come out and say, hashtag vote blue 22, stop J6, yay. Yeah. That's what they're going to do. That's what Democrats are going to run on all of 2022. Well, don't let these people take and seize our country again.
Didn't the New York Times or some other Didn't the New York Times or some other liberal news outlet just put out every day is J6 or some headline
that
was
the headline. Yeah, and the article actually talked about like how we have to live in the new age of discovering what this day has meant for us, because right now we are all still processing what this means in our daily lives. What?
What is the difference? Here's the question, because I know we have liberals that watch this show as well, or people that just disagree with me, in general, or this view in general. What is the difference of what happened on January 6th of 2021 versus what happened on January 6th of 2017? Or January 20th of 2017. What is the difference? Is the difference because Biden was elected instead of Trump? Because on January 6th of 2017, guess what happened? A shit ton of Democrats, Congress people, objected to the electorate. Now, you could make the argument and say, well, that's the constitutional right to do that, but yet you have people running around calling people traitors for objecting to the electorate. It just so happens that they're Republicans. Now, you could say, well, there was violence outside the Capitol, or they broke into the Capitol, or there was violence at the Capitol or inside the Capitol. But again, then you look back at all the other times that happened, the Capitol bombings that happened there, the people that were killed at the Capitol, all that, the attack at the Capitol since then, the riots that took place in Washington, D.C. on Inauguration Day in 2017. What is the difference? That's what I really don't understand, is what is the difference? You could say one is an attack on our democracy, but you have to argue that both are at that point. You're saying people that challenge the electorates in 2021 where that they are attacking our democracy and they are traitors and all that stuff, but the very same people in 2022 or 2017 are not the same. Because here's the thing, when you object to an electorate, guess what? They objected to the electorate before, some of them before this even happened, before J6. We know all the senators, the Republican senators, who are going to object to the electorate, to challenge or to have the little mini trials there. They all turned coat and ran after the events on January 6th. But many senators still stood up and objected to a lot of these places. And I just don't understand. So maybe I'm missing something. I just don't understand what the difference is. Is there a difference? Do you think there's a difference?
Well, the difference is clear, is that it's a double standard, right? We know that. Everything that we do. We told Democrats and protesters and rioters for an entire 9 months that everything that they were doing in destroying these cities was wrong, right? And so they were waiting for that instant moment that they could get, people that wanted Donald Trump, and they could put them right back in that place. And they're never going to live that moment down. They're going to hold on to this forever. The fact that you had somebody wearing a Trump MAGA hat going hand to hand with a police officer, right, in front of the Capitol, that's the moment. That's the moment that we're never going to get past. And that double standard is real. We know about it. It's not just with this. It's not just with J6. It's with the border, right? They don't want people crossing the border unless it's on their terms. They don't want any of this stuff unless it's on their terms, right? We know that. That's the thing that's so frustrating, is it's okay when they do it. It's not okay when we do it, right? It's just like if we were to say we don't want to wear a mask, they that's totally wrong. But then you got people going on CNN saying, well, we don't want to wear a mask, and then all of a sudden it's fine.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, and that's a thing. I think I've come to that point in like my life where I'm just like, I kept saying for a long time, like, I'm waiting for common sense to kick in, right? I'm just waiting. I'm waiting. Eventually, it's got to happen. People have to just, like, wake up. That's the whole premise of this show. Wake up, America. Eventually, one day, someday, somehow, people will wake up and realize, holy shit, we are sheep. Let's become not sheep. You know what I mean? Or let's just become Americans again. You know what I mean? And we just can't do it. We can't do it. Again, I'm going to ask all you guys in the chat to stop with the villain comments. It's not confirmed, so please stop. Otherwise, the last warning. I don't want that. You're acting like CNN in the chat by saying shit before we actually know whether it's true or not. So cut it out. I've requested you to stop like 15 times already.
We know villain. And so we want to confirm this before we even
I don't want it to be true. I don't want it to be true. April, why don't you do me a solid? Shut down the chat. Because people can't seem to do it. I don't think you could do Facebook. But I'll do Facebook. I don't want it. Or just make it members only on both platforms. Because then maybe people will disrespect what we're trying to do here. I like villain, okay? So I'm hoping that it's not true. And we've only heard it from one person. One person. Everyone's like, oh, Andy No tweeted it out, so it must be true, so we're just going to claim it as true. Nah, that's not the way news works. Okay, so we're not going to report that until we actually know, and I sincerely hope it's not. You know, but I've asked people numerous times to stop doing it because it's just, we don't know. And people can't do it. So I'm going to help you. And it's okay. We're only 10 minutes until social media gets turned off anyway.
There you go, guys.
Yeah. All right. Anywho. So stupid. I shouldn't even have to do that, but annoying.
You know, I think we're in a really sad state right now where it doesn't, the other side can be wrong. They know they're wrong and they're going to die on that hill. They know they're going to die on that hill. They're willing to die on that hill. And that's what's so confusing about this is you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, kind of thing, right? We can sit out here, and you and I, we've been doing it. We've been doing it for like solidly. You've been doing it for 2 years. Together, we've been doing it for a year. where we try and spread this message to people, right? And we have a very small audience when you compare our audience to the likes of Tucker Carlson with 2.5 million people watching every night, right?
Right.
But this dude, for that as an example, he's got 2.5 million people watching every night, and we still can't get the word out, about what's really happening in this country.
Yeah, it's because sometimes I think in the news business, I think people are more concerned with just reporting something that's going to get the views, instead of the truth, or they give, and to be honest, that's the whole reason why I started doing this in the first place, is I wanted to be able to report things accurately and not necessarily filled with bias. Now, I understand when I'm doing the show, there's bias. We can't, because we don't. That's the difference between like my show and You Are Here or some of these other shows, or even Timcast. We don't follow scripts. I usually just rant for an hour. And now that Adam's here, we may actually try to work out something so we could follow more of a uniform order. And I think I'm never gonna have chat open again, because I know I hate doing that. But I saw everyone was bickering with each other like little high schoolers in the chat. It got on my nerves, so I ended that.
Come on, man.
Yeah, come on. But did you see? Here's something for you. On all the people that were on Citizen Stringer today, I ran news, little news, a 20-minute news segment with all these different news clips that we made over the course of the day. We're going to start doing that. We'll end up, it started with, 10 clips. Tomorrow we'll try to shoot for 20. The next day we'll try to shoot for 40 or 50. Just different news clips about different stories, weather, whatever. It's a work in progress, so just bear with it. And I'll run it again all night after this, so you guys don't have to watch Westerns anymore. You'll just watch that. But there's one of the articles I did. I actually talked about it last night about these climate protesters that were protesting outside of Biden's Delaware home because he was on vacation this week in Delaware. And I was thinking to myself today, I talked about it yesterday and blah, 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 but I was thinking about it today, and I'm like, what if they weren't protesting for the climate? What if they're protesting? What if they're Let's Go Brandon protesters or something like that outside of their house, outside of his house? Do you think, even if there was only 200 of them, do you think that those protesters would have been allowed to stay there for 7 days? Camped out in public areas?
No. No way. Not a chance in hell.
No, if they were and these people weren't, pro Biden either, but they weren't being, they weren't. Here's the thing. This government right now is so intent on just pushing this narrative that anyone who disagrees with them well, not really, because the climate protesters disagreed with Biden. They wanted him to declare a climate emergency now, a national emergency, national climate emergency now. That because whatever hippie shit that they believe in, I don't care, because here's the thing: who cares about the climate right now when our country's imploding on itself? Who cares what's going to happen in 100 years when we may not even make it 2 or 3 more years if we keep this divisive nature up? That's it.
We're super divided. And speaking of Let's Go Brandon Brown, that's a dude who's getting screwed right now. He's getting screwed by Democrats. He didn't go out. He didn't start the Let's Go Brandon chance. And if I can leave our audience who's not going to come with us as Citizen Stringer with anything tonight, think about this. Think about what the left is doing to this poor kid. Somebody who has literally worked their entire life to become a professional driver, gets into a sport that is incredibly hard to get into because it costs millions of dollars every time you want to race a car on a Sunday, right? He can't even get a sponsor in NASCAR because of this chant.
No.
You
Hold
on. Well, I know.
You missed my news article.
I know. I got it. All right. So he's gonna get the Let's Go. NASCAR's now reviewing. Right. A possible endorsement from the Let's Go Brandon coin, right? This is a cryptocurrency coin that's going to try and sponsor the car, but the paint scheme says Let's Go Brandon on the car. NASCAR is taking a step back and said, hold on, we're going to review this now. Hopefully they let it go through. But without that sponsorship, this dude's career was ruined because of people on the left. Because of a reporter that said, let's go Brandon, instead of what we know, FJB, right?
Yeah.
But the left butchered this dude. And he didn't start the chant. He didn't do it. He was just racing a car. But they want to ruin his life forever. Forever. Doesn't matter how hard he's worked, what kind of dreams he had, what he aspired to do for 18 years of his life. None of that matters.
Yeah.
If you're not on their team, you're out.
Yeah, it's really quite sad when you think about the big picture of everything and what's happening in this country every single day. It's a little unnerving, to pay attention. But with that said, everybody that's watching on social media, we'll see you tomorrow. We're going to go rant about COVID on citizenstringer.tv because we can't do it on social media. So we're gonna cut you. So I'm gonna play this outro music while I cut everyone on social media, and we'll see you over in Citizen Stringer in about 1 minute. Hold on.
Listening to Wake Up America with Stephen Oatley. Unapologetically American and unapologetically honest. Join us each night at 8 p.m. for more daily headlines.